Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another video. I think it's time that we wrap up this Attack on Titan marathon because, as I said previously in my review of the final season, part 1, it has been officially confirmed that the anime is not done yet. We will be getting a final season, part 3, sometime next year in 2023. If I'm being 100% honest, it's probably going to come out in January because I think that's when Part 1 and Part 2 kind of came out right at the end of January of the next year. But alas, the final season, Part 3, will be coming out in anime form in 2023. But right now, I have, this isn't a first reaction, and I planned on doing that after I watch the final episode of Part 2 of the final season, but work and stuff got in the way. I've been super tired lately, and yeah. But I'm not going to let that stop me from talking about it now. So this isn't a first reaction, but this is going to be my review and my thoughts for Attack on Titan, the final season, part 2. So right off the bat, I got to say that this season, I mean, I guess I really shouldn't call it season because it's all part of the season, but so I'll just say part 2. So what I got to say about part 2 is that, you know, this part is a lot more action-packed than what we got with Part 1. Part 1 had some pretty good action scenes, but a lot of character development, a lot of questions. We weren't really sure about where these characters are going, especially in terms of Eren and whatnot. But I should stress this right now before I go further, that I will be getting into spoiler territory. So if you guys have not seen the final season, Part 2 of Attack on Titan, stop watching this video. Go watch part 2 and then come back because I have to talk about spoilers, so you have been warned. So, you know, part 1 really got us into asking us a lot of questions about why characters are making certain decisions, what's going on here. A couple of really good action sequences, but not a lot. It was more so about the dialogue and setting things up for what is going to be going on right now, which is the highlight of this part, which is the rumbling. And the rumbling is when a Titan with the power of the founder, which is Eren, and a Titan of royal blood, Zeke, when they come together, they have the ability to control Titans, but they also could get the connection with Ymir, I think that's what it is. Ymir. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. They can use that power, and Zeke wants to use that power to euthanize all of the Eldians, so that way they can't have any more children, and thus all of this violence and bloodshed will just stop. But Eren's all not for that, so at least we know that there are some parts of Eren that, you know, he's still kind of himself in a way that he's not going to let that happen to everybody and whatnot. But with where we left off, Marley has come to Shiganshina, and all hell just breaks loose. And there's a lot of it's very action heavy. It's very brutal because this is Marley trying to get revenge from the Survey Corps and Paradis. So it's a bloodbath. It's crazy. There's a lot of stuff going on. I'm not going to get into too specifics about the fight because that's just one hell of a thing that you got to see. But yes, so Zeke and Eren, they connect, and Zeke is trying to tell Eren that he has the power to end this and do the euthanization plan, but Eren's not all for that. So Eren was basically using Zeke so that way he can get the power of the founder and do what he wishes. And the original plan that we learned from in part 1 was to only use a little bit of the rumbling to scare Marley and the rest of the world, so that way they would leave Paradis alone for at least, I think they were saying 50 years? So that was the original plan, but then we soon learned that that's not what Eren has in mind. Eren is planning on using the power of the full rumbling and literally destroying everything in his path, where the only thing that remains is his island and the people that he grew up with and lived with, his home. So Eren is essentially committing genocide. And once his friends and comrades learn of this, they've come to the realization that even though, yes, in this plan they would be saved, they can't let Eren do that. That is that is crazy, not good. So now it's a rush to get all the main characters that we've known from season 1 all the way to now to come together, and they got to go stop Eren from destroying the entire world, because it's just really, really crazy. We get some truths about what certain characters are up to, such as Levi and Hanji. We found out that Levi is not dead, thank you God, and they've teamed up with other people. And part 2 ends with our characters trying to get on a boat that has an airplane attached to it, so they can start heading to some area. I think it's some area in Marley where they can try and find Eren and stop him. And before they can get to the boat, they have to take on their former comrades, the Jaegerists. The name is so stupid. They have to take on the Jaegerists, and it's this big, epic battle, and it's just absolutely ridiculous and crazy. I loved it. But the finale of part 2 is where we really see Eren snap. Not necessarily in the way you might be thinking of, but in a way that we finally see what led him to go down this road of committing genocide. The whole episode is done via flashback episode. So when I was watching it for the first time, I was thinking to myself, okay, we're doing a flashback episode for the finale. Okay, it's going to be good or really bad. It was really good. Eren asks Mikasa if she has any feelings for him, but she says, nah, you're just my family, which was, a little strange, but, we thought, we know that she loves him. We know she loves him. Let's be honest. But Eren and his friends are in Marley, and they're trying to negotiate peace so that way there's no war that breaks out with anybody. But the people of Marley and the people around the world, they see Eldians in Marley as okay, but the people on Paradis, where Eren and all of his friends are from, they still consider them to be devils. And once Eren hears that, he leaves, and the Survey Corps doesn't see him until the Battle of Liberio, where Eren literally declares war with Marley. But after he leaves, we start to see all the things Eren does throughout that time, where he meets with Yelena and learns about the euthanization plan of Zeke's. We know that he talked to Flock about lying about being okay with Zeke's plan, but then he's going to betray him and whatnot. All those pieces start coming into place, and then we get a scene where Eren is talking to Historia about what the military police wants to do with her, how they want her to eat Zeke, turn into a Titan and eat Zeke, so that way they have the power of the beast in their hands and they can, use the power against them and whatnot. But Eren's not all for that. He doesn't want any more people eating each other and that. And there was a really big flashback episode where we learn about how Ymir became the first ever Titan and whatnot. It was pretty gruesome, but it hit you on an emotional level, because that's how all this shit started. And then she brings up the idea, if I get pregnant, then they can't really do anything because that could damage the child. So they come up with that. And then we see the lengths that Eren is willing to go to sneak into Marley, get everything all set up and whatnot. And Eren's big plan, the plan that we are asking what he was going to do in part 1, and his plan is literally to eliminate all of his enemies across the shores from his home, and that's what he is using the rumbling for. And the part ends with Eren reaching Marley, soldiers running away, and we get this amazing, it's heartbreaking really, especially coming from our main character, but as Eren and the Colossal Titans start stepping on the beach, see what I did there, once they start stepping on the beach, we get music played from the first season of Attack on Titan, and Eren looking down at the people and recalling the events of his mother dying, and the final moments are Eren in his skeleton freaking founding Titan form, basically saying that he is going to destroy everything and he does not care what happens. He is doing this so that way his friends can live and whatnot. That's his plan. That's what he wants to do. And that is the conclusion of part 2. Now, what did I think of part 2? this was fantastic. This was by far probably the best Attack on Titan has ever been. For me personally, mostly just because every single episode, and I've described this in a way where, for those of you that might have watched Game of Thrones, usually the second to last episode of Game of Thrones is always when some big crazy thing happened to the characters. And each episode of this part felt like that, where it was either a big action scene or character moments. Like, it was just absolutely crazy. There was not an episode that I watched of this part 2 that made me think to myself, okay, did we really need an episode of this? No, I was thoroughly engaged. I absolutely enjoyed it. And even though it left on a cliffhanger, left on a pretty big cliffhanger that, God, it sucks that we have to wait until next year. Well, I have another video kind of explaining something along those lines of the future. But it wrapped up in a really epic way that makes you want more and you want to see where the story goes. And I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I loved all of the callbacks with different characters and music that played throughout. There's one moment that I love in this part where all of the military police that turn into Titans thanks to Zeke's spinal fluid, they're attacking a castle in Shiganshina, and Jean, Mikasa, and Armin are leading the troops to take out all of their old comrades and whatnot. And it's very sad, but the music that's playing is a piece of music from the second season of Attack on Titan. But we get to see Jean become, the leader that his friend thought he was, and there's a really sad, touching moment when they look down at the Titans and they realize that Commander Pixis is one of them, and Commander Pixis is really the one that made everything possible. If it wasn't for Pixis, the outcome of this story would have been very different all the way back in season 1. A lot of emotional moments, and there were a couple times when I was watching this where I had no idea where these characters were going to go. I thought some characters were going to die. I was going to get really upset. I didn't know what to expect, and I absolutely enjoyed myself. This is the best Attack on Titan's ever been, even though there are other seasons that I've talked about where they are perfect and whatnot, but this goes along with all of them. It's absolutely perfect. It's well-paced. Decent amount of episodes. We learn a lot more. A lot of our questions are answered. There are some still left in the air, but we will figure that out in part 3, which will come out next year. But overall, Attack on Titan, the final season, part 2, A+, guys. A+. This is how you do a final season, or you wrap up your story in this way. And I got to give compliments to the author. It's absolutely crazy how he's come up with this, how he's trying to wrap everything up, and he's doing it in an emotional way that makes you really care for these characters. But there's so many surprises, and there's still questions, and you're getting your answers. But it's just amazing to see it kind of play out. And watching it as an anime, this final season has not disappointed, because I talked about in my part 1 video, I changed the grading because I rewatched it and it was a lot better than I thought it was. And this part does the exact same thing. I haven't rewatched part 2, but I actually do plan on rewatching part 2 because I really do want to watch it. But I think once all of the English dub episodes have officially been added to Funimation, because that's how I'm watching it. But I had such a good time with this second part, and I'm eagerly looking forward to how they animate part 3, and I cannot wait to see that in anime form. We're in for the biggest treat, guys. And I guess that kind of leads into this other video that I will be talking about later down the road about the finale of Attack on Titan. I'll leave you in suspense for that when I make the video. It's not going to be a super duper long video, but it's a confession video. It's a little bit of a confession video. But that's all I got for today. The next time that we meet up will be tomorrow, because tomorrow I do plan on seeing, it's going to be a little bit of a late video because I'm seeing it at night and I have to work the next day. So it's going to be an interesting next couple of days. I'm going to be absolutely exhausted because after Thursday, I have to work 7 days in a row, and I'm not looking forward to that. But tomorrow I am seeing Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. So later that night, there will be a first reaction that I will film, and I will get out to you guys as soon as possible, so you guys can know my first reaction to that. As far as Morbius goes, I have let some of you guys know in my Attack on Titan Final Season Part 1 video. I honestly don't know if I'm going to end up seeing it just because of what I've heard about the film, but also just because I've really kind of lost interest in seeing it. So maybe sometime next week, maybe I'll treat myself and go see it and give it a proper first reaction, but I wouldn't hold your breath. But maybe I'll talk about it or see it some other time. And I do apologize for those of you that were kind of looking forward to that. But who knows, maybe stuff will happen. But as far as next big things coming, I have an Attack on Titan confession video coming up soon. We're going to talk about Fantastic Beasts tomorrow, and then in May, we have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And Lord, oh Lord, can I not wait for that movie. We got a lot of big stuff coming up. But to give the Attack on Titan marathon a proper wrap up, looking back and talking about it from season 1 all the way to where we are now, it's just a very incredible series, And since I'm talking about spoilers, I love how from the first 3 seasons, we're led to believe that this is the plot, where it's just humans trying to survive Titans. But then at the end of season 3, we learn the truth about what the real threat is. And even though you learn about that truth, it's still so interesting to see and to see where our characters go, that even though starting with the final season, part 1, Titans aren't really the enemy. It's more so the people, with how they play that out and they're telling the story, it is actually very, very interesting. And I liked how it's a lot more engaging. And I'm very grateful that I rewatched the final season, part 1, because I missed a lot. And rewatching it was definitely a blast. And watching it together with part 2, they both complement each other perfect. And I think that when part 3 does eventually come out next year, it's going to be one great long final season to watch all in a row. And it's just absolutely perfect. I really enjoyed my time talking about it. I really enjoyed this marathon. But the next time we meet up for Attack on Titan, it will be my confession video. And then whenever the final season, part 3, comes out, I will give a proper review. I will give a proper grade for the series as a whole. And yeah. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.